There's one really impressive Finnish prospect in this system, and everybody who would have pressed play on this particular program would know who that is. I'm going to talk about Ville Koivunen and two other Finns today. Good morning to you. Good Friday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates that I hope you'll check out as well. Finland Friday, we can call it. Koivunen, I feel like, is a known commodity. I'm not going to waste anybody's time breaking down his game or what his future impact will be in the short term or the long term. To me, if this is a phase of this rebuild or reload that's to be taken seriously, he's got to be on your top six. Unless, of course, for whatever reason, he were to just bomb out in camp or show up out of shape or whatever. And that, in addition to the handful of games he was able to play in Pittsburgh at the end of last season, will start to really tell his tale in the NHL. He is an NHL-level player. He will start out in the NHL, and he will get real opportunities, both at even strength in top six situations as well as the power play. My goodness, the way he sees the ice with the man advantage, he maybe should be a fixture on the first unit. But the other two, one of them is the answer to the semi-random trivia question, who's the fastest skater on the team? Now, I'd still put money down a straight line race on Brian Rust, but let's allow for the possibility that the NHL's new advanced metrics that track skating speed in what the league defines as bursts, that Joona Koppanen actually is that guy. Now, that sounds strange. It also maybe even looks strange, given that he's 6'5 plus, big dude. You just don't think of big dudes as being that fast. What's more, he didn't get this fast until the past couple of winters, and that was after some extensive A, research, and B, applied work by the Penguins development people into extending his stride, into getting maximum momentum out of the way he moves. Now, Koppanen also has some skill. It's not something that you'd get super excited about, meaning from the offensive perspective. You go back to last season, Wilkes-Barre-Scranton, 56 AHL games, he had just 8 goals and 15 assists. But he's a center, he's defensively responsible, and again, he's not exactly lacking in the skill area. If he and the Penguins, of course, together can craft an identity for him, he could be something. He could be a contributor. Now, I say that, and he's 27 years old, so all concerned have to step on the gas here. But he is back, and he is going to be part of this broader scenario. And I'll just say this. Every time I think it's okay to just leave his name out of any and all equations, I get corrected by somebody from the inside. They, the Penguins, like him. They, the Penguins, have not ruled him out in any capacity. The same also is the case of the third Finn I'm going to bring up today, and that's Valtteri Puustinen, who, although he's a year younger, has seen more time, obviously, in the NHL, and he, too, has an exceptional trait in that he's got this dynamic one-timer from the opposite side. And it's one that he's been able to convert into real production, particularly power play production, at the American League level. One problem with this trait, kid doesn't use it when he gets here. And it's not like everybody doesn't tell him this. I tell him this and I don't even matter. I just walk past him somewhere in a corridor or near the locker room or in there, and I'll just joke with him, shoot the puck, kid, shoot the puck. And he'll smile and he'll laugh, and then he'll enter the game and he'll get chances to shoot the puck, and then he won't shoot the puck. He came up late last season as well. And maybe after having spent the overwhelming majority of yet another winter in Wilkes-Barre and looking at, his birth certificate and everything else, it's beginning to dawn on him that if his strongest asset is to shoot the puck, maybe he should shoot the puck. So he did shoot the puck when he came back up. Scored a goal, too. Really emphatically celebrated it as well, I should mention. I don't know what more to say about him. We have seen him do things in Pittsburgh, including on his very first recall, where he looked so comfortable on the power play. Remember that? You might have forgotten this, but it was a couple of seasons ago when the power play was just dying out there, and he was brought up strictly for that purpose, just to shake up the big boys. And what do you know? He goes out there and he looks all confident and everything, and he popped a couple, they popped a couple, and then that was the end of him. Mission accomplished, and see ya, kid, to an extent. His ice time did get cut, his role did get reduced, but what still stood out the most was that he wasn't shooting. This past season in Wilkes-Barre, he took 107 shots on goal, not attempts, on net. He scored on 16 of those. If you have a 13-plus shooting percentage, there's only one thing you should ever be doing in the offensive zone. But he's had a shooting percentage like that pretty much his whole life. And I'm not here to suggest that he's some, 30 or 40 goal sniper or anything like that. But if you have an opportunity to be a complete player with goal scoring included, that needs to be part and parcel of your repertoire. So, 3 fins, 2 fins, 1 fin. There's actually a whole bunch of other fins in the equation as well, but for the purposes of this theme, it sure would be nice if there was more than just Koivunen who could make a difference. When we come back, J1Q. Hey guys, if you're planning to see a concert or a Penguins game, once the NHL season starts, use the Game Time app to get your tickets. You can snag new ticket deals before anyone if you set it into app alerts. The app is easy to use. No surprise fees at checkout. You can see your seat view before buying, and you're getting legit tickets delivered on time. If you're not much of a planner, you can get last-minute deals on tickets right up to the start of an event. Lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Game Time app and enter the code DK Penguins in your app profile for $20 off your first purchase. Today's J1Q comes from Ethan McClelland, and it's in response to yesterday's program that was led by my raising the subject that maybe what the Penguins could do with all this cap space that they have, and it remains at $13 million plus, is move the remainder of Erik Karlsson's contract somewhere else, by taking up some of it or even doing some sort of exchange similar to the one that brought him here from San Jose. They don't want him here. He doesn't seem to want to be here, although I'm always stressing that neither of those sentiments is super strong and set in stone. I do believe they can coexist. Anyway, the J1Q comes from Ethan McClelland, who asks, if Kyle Dubas is working with the $13 million that he hasn't spent and is unwilling to retain a portion of Karlsson's salary, who or what would the Penguins be getting back that would consume the $11 million of cap space that would open up on top of the $13 million remaining? That's why I personally never thought Karlsson would be traded, at least not before the deadline. I'm not suggesting in these scenarios that there's some magical pot of hockey gold waiting at the far end of the rainbow. In fact, I can't think of anything more boring to be talking about, and remember, I was the one that started it, on a hockey show than about bookkeeping. But as long as you're building up the franchise or rebuilding it or reloading it, whatever term anybody happens to choose that isn't tanking, then it absolutely makes sense to have the financial house in order. That could mean contributing to part of his salary somewhere else, as much as Dubas doesn't like to do that. That also could mean an exchange of contracts that might not be the best fit for both parties. I'll commonly refer back to the Eric Goodbranson, Tanner Pearson exchange because it was just so perfect. at least as an example. I liked having Goodbranson here. So this isn't a commentary on that. It's just, we have a guy, we're paying this much. You have a guy, you're paying that much. We need more of this. You need more of that. And let's make something work. There are left-handed defensemen out there. In fact, the sport of ice hockey has a glut of left-handed defensemen to the extreme that hockey moms and dads everywhere are being encouraged to have their young defensemen hold the stick the other way at a very young age. The NHL isn't an exception to that. It's just the last stop. So maybe there's a highly compensated left-handed defenseman out there that doesn't fit with what some other team wants to be doing in the 2025-26 NHL season or the following season when Karlsson continues to be under the same contract. And if the money doesn't happen to align perfectly, well, then go ahead and do some things with the cap space that you have, because, as I will continue to pound, the worst scenario is to allow that very real asset, that cap space, to just get thrown into the trash. It can't roll over till next year. Use it or lose it. I appreciate the question, Ethan. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Penguins. Next week, actual ice hockey, beginning with the Prospects Challenge in Buffalo. 1 week from today, Penguins versus Bruins. Have a terrific weekend.